Hello, my name is Jocelyn. This is my Scofield Studio YouTube page. This video is about practicing. How much should you practice? When should you practice? If you have a gig coming up, how to go about preparing for that gig. So the first thing is, if you are on your road to becoming, let's say, a professional singer, you should be singing a lot, like an hour, 2 hours a day. It doesn't all have to be like you sitting in front of a piano doing exercises. It could just be you working your muscle and just singing as much as possible so that your endurance goes up, so that you have quite a bit of stamina when you do have gigs, that your voice isn't shot after the gig. And for people that take lessons, if your lesson time is 1 hour, then you practice twice as much during the week. So 4 sessions of 30 minutes is great. Doing exercises, this would be like devoted time, not necessarily like driving in your car and singing along to the radio. That brings us to dedicated practicing versus just singing. Both are great. I think the more you sing, the better. When you practice, it's most beneficial if you're working on a specific technique or idea. So if you're extending range, if you're working on your pitch, if you're working on ear training in addition to pitch accuracy, those are very specific things, and your brain works in a different way when you're exercising your voice in a focused way versus when you're sort of passively singing along to the radio, singing while you're walking or doing something else. So it's really important that if you want to get better, you make a point to practice with intention, whatever that intention is in terms of technique, but you practice with intention and you will get better in that specific area. If you have a gig coming up, so let's say today's Monday, I have a gig on Friday, and it's a 2-hour gig, and I'll be singing about, let's say, an hour and a half of that. So there are a couple breaks, maybe there's some talking, but I'll sing an hour and a half. At the beginning of the week, I would start looking at the music. So if you have the music, if possible, you don't want to be sight reading on the day. Sometimes it happens if you have a session or if you're just getting the music. Sometimes you can't avoid it. Sometimes you'll just get the music literally a minute before you're to sing it, and that it is what it is. But if you have the chance, even if you're a professional singer, I still look at the music, because here's the thing. If you don't look at the music ahead of time and you're a really good reader and you miss 10 notes or you flub up a little bit, people don't know whether you looked at the music ahead of time. Most of the time when people send music, most singers don't look at it. So you could be the one that looks at it and is really prepared. So if nothing else, it'll seem like you're the most amazing reader ever, even if you've been singing it that whole week. But the most important thing if you have a gig is that you just do it really, really well. So whatever you need to do the gig really well, if you are a perfect sight reader, like you sight read perfect rhythm, notes, expression, dynamics, you're looking at the conductor, you're right with the click track, great. I don't know very many people like that. I know like 2. I know 2 people that can really do that well. So I would make sure that my voice at the very beginning of the week, I work really, really hard, because that stamina will last me through the whole week. And I'm not going to really bust my butt and work my voice on, let's say, Thursday. That's a terrible day. It's the day before the gig. So you work really hard on Thursday. You have, you wear your voice out, and the Friday you have the gig. No. So Sunday, I would really, really work it out. I would make sure probably on Tuesday to really work it out. Wednesday to work it pretty hard. Thursday, lightly work it. And then Friday's the gig. My voice is really in good shape by the time Friday comes along. Okay, so just to recap, if you're just learning and you're just starting, whatever your lesson time is, twice as much during the week. Don't do it all at once. Do it in 2, 3, 4 different sessions so that you don't tire out your voice too much. If you are working your way to being a professional singer, you should be working on stamina, because if you're a professional singer, you're probably not going to have 1 gig a week. You'll probably have 3 gigs a week or 2 gigs a week. And on those weeks that you don't have gigs, you're still going to have to keep your voice up. So you should be working, I would say, anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour a day. If you have a gig coming up that's longer, make sure you're singing that amount of time, at least a couple of times. So if you have a 2-hour gig, do a couple of run-throughs of your gig so that you can last 2 hours and not be spent. Because again, if you're a singer, if you're a professional singer, that day after that gig, you may have another gig. You can't lose your voice after one gig. It has to be at least 89% the next day. And if you're already a professional singer, I would say a professional singer should probably be able to sing 4 hours with like 100% with a lot of their stamina. And you should probably be able to do that maybe 3 times a week. The great thing about the voice is you can build up to that kind of stamina. If you're a really busy singer, you could sing 5 nights a week, 3 hours a night, and be okay if you've built up that stamina. Not so much if you're used to singing 1 hour and all of a sudden you have to do a couple of 3-hour gigs. So preparation is key. Don't wait till the last minute. And yeah, good luck.